Welcome to the Big Three Sportscast, where we talk about the big three sports: MLB, NBA, and NFL. This week, we're going to be covering the NBA and NFL, as the MLB's doesn't really start its postseason until October. I mean, last week of September if you're talking about wild cards, so we'll start covering that later. But this week, we've got a couple of stories for you guys. It's going to be the Antonio Brown issue going on, his two issues, really, because this week kind of popped up. Whether or not the Patriots and Warriors dynasty is done, so we're going to be covering two sports this week. And also the last thing, Bradley Beal announced on Sunday, which would have been the 11th, August 11th. He didn't announce it, but rumors are speculating that he is either going to be traded to the Heat or possibly a contender team like the Sixers or the Bucks or just Celtics, top teams around the league, thinking about where he could go. Maybe we'll talk about that for a little bit. But with me today, I got Ryan and Cole. Cole is our guest for the week. He's pretty knowledgeable about sports. It's kind of what he does. So, Ryan, what would you like to cover first here?
So that's a good question. They're all kind of interesting topics. The newest one is probably the Bradley Beal trade, but at the same time, I think everyone's more interested in what goes on with Antonio Brown all of a sudden.
Yeah,
So
the diva. What can we do for him?
well, you know what? Seeing as that he just left your favorite team, I think we should start with that.
It doesn't hurt my feelings.
That's
There's
true.
a lot of people think
But
it's best
so
to
there's
have him.
there's two things with Antonio Brown that happened in the last 2 or so weeks, although it's more like the past week. So first off, I guess he was doing some feet cryotherapy in France, which I've never really heard of, but I guess this is something like receivers and running backs do. I maybe not all the time, but on a consistent basis. And he went into it and he did it wrong or something. He didn't put on the right shoes with it or something with his feet. Ended up getting frozen or feet frozen and like a little bit of extreme frostbite with it. And it's nothing like that would be like, wow, this is like disgusting. Like it's not the awful cases of frostbite, but it is pretty bad for a receiver who obviously they live by running. So
It's enough to mess up his first few weeks in the NFL, probably.
yeah, there. Well, that's the thing. People are we're not quite sure exactly how long he'll be out. The Raiders haven't officially commented on it. They obviously don't have to do anything till the first game to tell you whether or not he'll be out or not. But it seems like according to most sources that from what I've read, I know Austin, you've heard differently, but some people say that he's going to be fine to go week 1, although you've heard that he might not be good till week 3 or 4.
Yeah, they said it was another player in the NFL who had the same thing happen to him. He said he missed almost an entire season. He talked about it, his whole injury, and how it's not that fun and it's not that nice of an injury either. Like usually during surgery you just have like recovery time, but with this it's like you got to do all this extra work. Yeah, with
Yeah.
surgery there's like PT and stuff, but with this it's a whole bunch. It's not just PT and getting it stronger, but you got to do all this extra stuff to make sure nothing bad happens to your foot or anything.
Right.
But the player also did say that Antonio Brown's injury wasn't as bad as his, but he missed an entire season. So
That's
I'm just kind of expecting
that
Brown
is
to
rough.
miss maybe a week or two. I don't think he'll miss the whole season. I'd be shocked if he did because he loves to play, but also, I mean, you got to be smart when you're doing this kind of stuff. Like, if it can hurt you, you can't be like just doing this and costing your team a couple. Like, Antonio Brown's going to be their number one receiver for years to come, so you
Mhm.
can't be costing your team games like that. I think that's what's going to happen. I mean,
The
Derek,
Raiders, who already aren't necessarily expected to be that great of a team, even with the new additions they had, I think that even the few games he could miss would kind of be crucial, depending on who they're playing. If it's someone who they're going to get beat by anyway, it's not, it's not huge. But if they have a chance of actually beating the team in the first few weeks, it could be kind of crucial to their end record.
yeah. I mean, they play in a division with the Broncos, so when they see them, they should win, in my opinion. But I don't know.
Mm.
Like, I'm starting to think if this team's going to have this many issues before the season starts, because there's another Antonio Brown issue we're going to get to here in a couple minutes.
Had to be, of course.
Right, yeah.
What are you laughing at?
Yeah, right?
It's a fucking helmet. Just put it on.
True. So In reference to what Cole just said, I kind of skipped over the frostbite thing, but in reference to what he just mentioned,
Well,
the other Antonio Brown issue that has happened in the past week, and this one's the one getting most of the attention because he's actually literally I talked about this one more than the frostbite, surprisingly, is that apparently he has an issue where last year was the last year the NFL would let the players wear super old helmets that they had worn.
Well, it's
And
like I think they've got like cut off, like the helmets have
yeah,
cut off years. Like these helmets are good for this many years, these helmets are good for this many years, and they always come
exactly.
out with
If
like,
it's older than 10 years, they don't try to the NFL does not try to recertify it. And so Antonio Brown is pissed about it because the new helmets he wear that they're trying to make all the players wear. By the way, there's 40 of these new helmets. You have 40 to choose from. Apparently cut his vision as a wide receiver and make it difficult to see the football, as he said. And so he has apparently told a source, according to Adam Schefter, that he's threatened to literally quit football if he is not allowed to
retire.
wear his preferred helmet, which he has worn for 10 years. And according to ESPN, he refuses to use a newer model and stuff like that. And he put out this Instagram post. It was kind of vague, as he always does, because he's weird. And then actually the NFL responded today, which is kind of interesting. In a weird way, they didn't exactly mention Antonio Brown by name, but they basically said their PR guy said the player can't practice or play in games with equipment that's not approved. If he doesn't play or practice, he is in breach of his contract and doesn't get paid. NFL policy is that helmets have to be certified by their certification company, and they don't certify equipment that's older than 10 years. And Brown's helmet is older than 10 years. And so that's kind of the big issue that he's brought up is he's literally threatened to he's apparently reportedly filed a grievance with the league, and he has apparently to his his homies threatened to quit playing football entirely if he does not get to wear his old helmet. So that's where we're at with Antonio Brown now.
Well, so nothing new. The drama queen has arrived, and I
imagine,
don't think Cole can handle himself.
imagine just walking away from millions and millions of dollars
30.3.
because I don't like the helmet.
Let's remember, if he does decide to quit football, as he put it, he will get paid this year $30 million plus. I'm not sure what the exact number is.
I don't know if they will actually, because I think the way the NFL works, it's not guaranteed
for this year.
But it's not guaranteed money. So if he quits, he doesn't get all of it.
Oh, I know. That's what I'm saying. What he would be walking away from. So this year, he's going to be making around $30 million. I don't know what the rest of his contract is, but it's one of the largest contracts in NFL history, right? It's huge for the receiver. That's why he went to the Raiders. It's a lot.
It's no more.
He would be walking away from all that money just because he doesn't want to wear a helmet.
Yeah,
he has 40 options to choose from,
and you can't choose one.
I think the Raiders are also being kind of stupid here because just ask him what he doesn't like about it and fucking change it so that this doesn't happen.
Well, that's the thing.
He doesn't threaten to quit playing football.
I don't think
vision a little bit bigger.
I don't know if they're allowed to change like the cosmetics on the helmet. I don't think they're allowed to change like the obscurities of it because the NFL has to approve them. So I think the helmets that they approve are literally those are just your options. You're not allowed to mess with them. You can put your stickers, your logos, or whatever. Probably you just can't actually change what they look like. So, like their arrangement and whatnot. So I think that's honestly probably his biggest problem is he doesn't feel comfortable with the helmets they provided him. So out of the 40 options, he's basically choosing none of them and filing grievances. And it's something he basically the funniest thing is that I think personally is that if you look at it, out of all the things that the Raiders fans knew they were gonna get with Antonio Brown and all the baggage that he's coming, that comes with having a player like him, the biggest one hasn't even started. We're still 3 weeks away from the first game. We haven't gotten to the season yet.
It's like preseason. Like, really? You got that much time? You could be like, oh, another thing we'll talk about is Zeke's still holding out, and everybody said, they'll have him figured out soon. No, that's going to be a war now. But you could be like Zeke and just go somewhere else till the regular season starts and figure out a helmet you want to wear. Get used to it, maybe. But no, that makes too much sense, right? It makes too much sense to try a helmet on, see if you like it. If you don't, then maybe find one that's bearable, put it on, get used to it, and play. Like, what?
That makes me wonder what he was doing all summer when he knew this was going to happen. Like, and everyone else in the entire NFL agreed to it, and no one seems to have an issue besides Antonio Brown. Kind of makes me wonder what he was doing the whole summer when he knew this was going to happen and didn't bother to, let me adjust to a new helmet.
He's
or
ruining
let me
his
at least
foot.
wear
That's what
it.
he's doing.
Exactly. He's getting frostbite in France.
He's gonna just destroy everything and call it a day,
Do
right?
you not realize that your foot is fucking freezing?
Those
You're
it's
like,
I
hey,
think those
can-
cryo things are supposed to be like you go in. It's kind of like used to be like ice baths. I don't think they probably do like that cryo stuff more instead
Yeah.
now. I bet.
It's like a negative 130 degrees in there, so
Good
I'm pretty sure your
Lord.
whole body's kind of like just. Well, I don't know what they wear and nothing. I don't know anything about it really. I just know how cold it is, and I'm sure your whole body's freezing. So maybe like the feet that you don't even realize it's getting that cold because it just feels the same everywhere. You just
Yeah, numb.
exactly. You just feel numb everywhere. But
Unreal.
it's interesting, and it kind of just makes me laugh because Antonio Brown, you're a Steelers fan, and Antonio Brown was on your team with the whole charade with Le'Veon Bell and all you guys had to go through last year, right?
I wouldn't.
What
I wouldn't
would
be
what
able to
would be
handle
your
it.
biggest warning to a Raiders fan? Is there like because this is what you've come to like expect, right? This is what you've come to know. So what would your advice be to a Raiders fan going into the season?
It's gonna be a roller coaster. You're not gonna expect a lot of things. If he doesn't get the ball, he's gonna sit there and demand it. He's gonna get angry. He's not as bad as, in my opinion, Odell. I don't think Odell's
Right.
like a bad. I don't think Odell's a bad person, but I also don't think he's a team player. And him and Antonio Brown fit that mesh pretty well, not being
Yeah.
team players. Because they both demand the ball. They both want the ball because they're the stars, right? They're the top players of their position, right? I mean,
Yeah.
but the wide receiver is the most dependent position because you've got to depend on your quarterback to make the throw. You got to depend on. And is Derek Carr going to be able to make the throw like Ben? No.
No, he's not as good as
Is
Roethlisberger was.
is Derek Carr going to be able to throw that ball downfield if Antonio Brown blows by somebody? No.
Not as far as Roethlisberger could throw it. That's for
Well,
sure.
I mean, Ben's getting old too, so I mean, I kind of get like wanting to leave Ben because the Steelers are going to go through a transition here soon.
Yeah.
But even then, you got Brown. Is just like you could be on a good team, make the playoffs. Raiders, you're not making the playoffs in that division. Just not happening.
Yeah, it's a hard.
Where's
division
the
to
lack
go
of the
through.
faith for the Raiders coming from? I
Well,
don't
it's a
think they're a
hard
bad
division.
team.
It's
I
a
don't
hard
think-
look at who they
I
have to
don't-
play, Cole.
I don't think it's a hard team. Or hard. No, it's definitely a hard division. I don't think they're a bad team. I just don't think
just don't
they're
think they're a
good
good
enough. Like they'll be a middle of the pack team. They're not gonna be anything above that.
Yeah.
Like at best, they're going like just above 500, and that's like if everything goes right.
Well, what do you think, Cole? Where do you place them?
I think at best they could. I think they could be a wild card at best. I
A
think they
wild
come in
card.
second in their division. Maybe
Second?
like a max of 11-5.
Wow,
Whoa!
that's higher than I gave them.
Yeah, it's
to be
way
honest.
higher than I gave them.
I mean,
Okay.
they'll probably be like 8-8 or 9-7 or something. But I think that's their.
I think I'm underestimating them because I haven't seen Derek Carr come back into fruition. Like last year was awful for him, but he was also injured. So I don't know if like just a receiver and a quarterback can carry a team because
mean-
they don't really. I mean, they have a little bit better defense, but I don't think they're going to be huge in that department either.
I mean, think about it though. They got to play the Chiefs, Chargers, and Broncos. I'm gonna give them those two games. So there's that. But I don't think they can beat the Chiefs. I mean, they could maybe
I don't
beat the
think so.
Chargers, but
Maybe they
Even then-
take one, but I still don't see it happening.
yeah, right. Like that's such a long shot. There's no
Unless
way.
unless Phillip Rivers just falls off a cliff this year.
Well,
In
he's
that case, they could win.
He's secretly really good. Like whoever,
he
like
does
you want to talk
look
about
good every
fantasy?
year.
You want to talk about fantasy? Philip Rivers is like everybody's like, oh, I need a top quarterback, dude. If you get Philip Rivers, you're in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
He consistently, he might not put up insane numbers like, like Patrick Mahomes did last year. He might not put up like 60 plus points a week or something or something, huge numbers. But over a consistent period throughout the year, he's not going to have a down game where you're just like, wait, what? He put up like 12 points for me this week. What?
Yeah,
This is awful.
he's gonna give you consistent points in my opinion, but he's not gonna be like he might have a home run ball every now and then, but it's not gonna be a home run hitter like you're gonna get like Roethlisberger or Brady or just Mahomes.
Yeah.
If you had Mahomes last year, you were golden.
Yeah, last year was an incredible year. But also getting back to Antonio Brown just a little bit, besides the frostbite and besides the helmet issue, he also, I guess, mainly because of the frostbite, he has basically not done much at the Raiders camp. He apparently showed up for I don't even know if he showed up for the first full week, but he was there and like pictures were taken and stuff. He was at training camp. But he was reportedly missed a significant portion of training camp and practice in the off season, and he just apparently has barely been around the team. And according to somebody at ESPN, they report that he has barely talked to the Raiders at all.
That's just who he is, though. Like,
I think it's just.
Go ahead, Cole. What you got?
I think he's just doing a power play. He's just like, you know what? I chose to come here. I can do whatever the fuck I want. I'm fucking Antonio Brown.
He's like, this is my team.
This is just what's happening now, so get over it.
I mean, he has won a team where basically the entire team revolved around him. And to be fair, no one's really thinking of Derek Carr as the leader of this team anymore. It's mainly you see the Antonio Brown's name every time you think of the Raiders now. So
yeah,
he kind of did make that power play, for being honest. He
went to a team where he will be the star.
Exactly. And to attest to what Cole was saying, even though if he was joking about it or not, whatever, John Gruden basically publicly came out and said the Raiders back up Antonio Brown entirely. I mean,
I did see that.
They're not saying, yeah, this is kind of stupid. We don't know. They're not being, they're publicly saying they back him up on the helmet issue 100%. So they clearly are already whipped by Antonio Brown. Clearly.
They're already in dysfunction. It's only downhill from here. Like this is almost as bad as the Cowboys right now, like their whole fiasco going on.
Indeed.
This is unreal.
Mentioning the Cowboys.
When does this happen?
Transition.
Well, yeah, okay, let's move on let's move on from Antonio Brown because I can't talk about that. That's just it's too dumb.
Makes you mad.
Salty Steelers fan.
I mean, you
shouldn't even be mad anymore because you don't have to have this issue anymore.
No, I'm happy, but I'm just sitting here like, what are you doing? I can't deal with this.
Listen, but at the end of the day, he's still putting up fucking like 1,500 yards and 10 touchdowns. So I would gladly welcome him to the Packers any week. Come on down.
Last year he had 1,300 yards and 15 touchdowns. The year before that he had 1,700 yards and 9 touchdowns. So I mean, the dude, even when he's angry with everything in the world and putting up any type of personal issues out there, he still puts up digits.
I don't even think he is. I think he's just doing it because it's fucking fun for him. He's just like, let me see what I can get away with.
Probably, honestly.
That
would not surprise me.
I think you're right, honestly. He just does it because most of the time he knows at the end of the day he's going to get 1, paid, and 2, put it up performance-wise. So what else does he have to do? Nothing really.
Now he's the center of attention.
And he's got that trifecta.
This is storm that just came together. There's going to be like 20 more stories this year of him complaining about shit.
I would put that past him. But
I would not bet against it.
Let's go to the Cowboys because they're in dysfunction too.
Oh, really? The Cowboys are having problems?
It's like, what's new? Oh my gosh. It's like, I didn't know. They still got Zeke on a holdout. What do they do? Like, who was this new guy they started?
So his name is Tony Pollard.
He had 16 yards off of 4 rushes, which granted is 4 yards a carry, but you're playing preseason.
This made me laugh when I saw this yesterday. So yesterday night I was searching up new NFL stories because I wanted to be prepared as much as possible. And then I saw this pop up. So apparently during the last preseason game the Cowboys played, they had to start Tony Pollard or however you say his last name. I think it's
Pollard.
So I'm just going to call him Tony. Whatever. Tony. They had to start this guy named Tony. Which Jerry Jones quoted after game or maybe before or something. He was quoted as saying something along the lines of, "We see Tony as equivalent to Alvin Kamara."
No.
Okay,
Alvin Kamara.
All right. No.
And after the game, he said Tony Pollard can carry the load amid Ezekiel Elliott's holdout.
Wait, did Jerry Jones say that?
Yeah, Jerry Jones said that after their game.
He's just saying that so Zeke will be like, I gotta go take a shit contract. God damn it.
Like,
There's
this
no
is-
way.
this is basically Le'Veon Bell whipped into Ezekiel Elliott for the Cowboys to enjoy this year. Have fun.
No, there's no way. Like, no, I can't take that seriously.
Now I'm not sure if he's being misquoted by an article just to like make it seem bad.
No,
or
he
something, but
probably said that. I would not put that.
I
past
would
him.
not put it past him.
Not
He
at
was-
all.
he definitely praised the four. He said they said after he basically was quoted saying, "I certainly thought he had to get account of himself. He looks confident. He's basically giving him all this praise. He knows what he's capable." He literally carried the ball 4 times for 16 yards.
Yeah, for one drive.
all he
Like, are you
did.
kidding me? One drive.
All he did. That's
Did
it.
they score on that
Kamara.
drive? I want to know that.
No,
Did they score?
no, they didn't even score.
Okay, then great job. If Zeke was there, like Zeke wouldn't even be carrying. To be fair, Zeke
Wait,
would
did he
not
get
be
any
carrying the ball.
catches?
No,
No,
that's it.
that was his
So then
single
why is
stat.
he Alvin Kamara? That's like half of what Alvin Kamara does. He
That's
catches. He's really good
apparently
at
what the
catching.
Cowboys drafted him to be because they see him as an Alvin Kamara type player.
Did he get a
That-
target?
No, thank you.
Not what I'm aware of, no. And so you got that. Apparently, Jerry Jones also told CBS Sports 11 last month. He said you don't have to be a rushing champion to win a Super Bowl.
Isn't that
Basically,
what
a
happened
direct
last
hit.
time
But
they
when
won?
you have one,
Isn't that what
Exactly.
they had last
being
time they
a-
won a Super Bowl? Emmett Smith.
Yeah, exactly. And they're a running team. I thought from the
What?
beginning
Are you
when they
kidding
drafted a
me?
superstar running back who led the league in rushing 2 out of 3 years. You don't need to be a rushing champion. though.
what's the point of the O line if you don't care about your running game?
Who knows? Who cares? I
um,
guess.
I don't understand what the Cowboys are thinking here at this point. Like, okay, you don't want to pay him what he wants to be paid. Okay, fine. That's happened to many teams before.
Yeah, many
but-
teams, many players.
It's not like Zeke's out there bashing the team constantly like Le'Veon was. He's not out there talking trash from what I've seen. He's just
Mhm.
not showing up, right?
Yeah.
Which is what Le'Veon did as well when he wanted to be paid. But that was different. Le'Veon was on literally the last year of his contract. Zeke still has 2 years left of his rookie contract, and he's not. I mean, he's asking to be paid a lot, but he's not asking to be the highest paid from what I think. I don't think he is. I'm not.
I mean,
I
if
don't know
he-
what his terms are. I don't think we know what his
He,
terms
he
are.
no,
but-
he said he wants to be paid just like Gurley got paid. He didn't
Just-
say he wanted to be paid
okay.
more. He said he wanted a Todd Gurley payday, which
That's a
in
lot.
my opinion, to be fair, he deserves it because right now he's on track to he's supposed to carry the ball more and more and more every year, and now he's starting to catch the ball. So his touches are going
Exactly.
through the roof.
And it's not like I would say it's not like they have a massive huge wide receiver core. As you mentioned to me a couple days ago, their wide receivers are kind of I know it's the Giants that are hurt. Never mind. But their
Yeah,
wide
the Giants
receiver,
are
besides Amari Cooper, they don't have some amazing wide receiver core to help carry the Zeke's load.
They
And
picked
Dak's
up
not some incredible quarterback.
they picked up some slot receiver. I can't remember who it was, but he's supposed to be like the slightest upgrade from Cole Beasley. I'm like, what's the point then? Beasley does just fine in the slot.
Yeah.
You could, and you're probably going to end up paying that guy more money, right?
Yeah.
So if you didn't
pretty
take
much.
that guy, you'd be paying that money to Zeke, and Zeke would be happy, and you'd be sitting there, and everybody says, "Oh, they're contenders, they're contenders." I'm like, no, you're not a contender without Zeke. You might be a contender with Zeke.
Exactly. And so the other thing with this Tony guy that they played, right? So they're Jerry is hyping up so much. He was not even the starting running back on his college team. He
Oh
was the
my.
third running back on
He's
his
a
college
third
team.
string.
He was the third string. He only ran the ball 78 times last year in college.
So Jerry Jones is trying to make a power play
Exactly.
with a third string college running back
Pretty
versus
much.
the number one back in the league. He's sitting back there.
He
you
did
guys
really
go
well
ahead.
when he did play, but that's besides the point. He was the third string.
I'm telling you right now, Zeke's gonna be sitting back there. Yo, I'm good. It's like you guys. I'm serious. It's gonna end up being like
sitting
what
back there
happened with
saying,
Emmett Smith.
See how well you do without me. See
Yeah,
how well you
exactly.
do without me, and then see what the fan reaction
He's
is.
gonna look at him and go, "Come back in 2 weeks when you guys are 0-2 in the regular season." Is what I'm talking about. But he's gonna say, "Come back when you're 0-2, and we'll talk." He goes, "Maybe I'll be open, but you might have to pay me a little more."
Jerry is honestly, if you think about it, if you're a Cowboys fan, and I know Dan's not here, so he's not gonna be flipping
He's-
over this, but if you're a Cowboys fan, this is honestly should be really worrisome for you at this point. Like at the beginning, you're like, okay, it's another holdout, whatever. They'll probably pay him. They'll resolve it somehow, blah, blah, blah. This is like, to me, it seems bad because now Jerry's not, now he's not saying, okay, yeah, Zeke's really good. We'll get it done, blah, blah, blah. He's not trying to make it seem like they're pushing forward with Zeke's contract. He's making it seem like they're done with him almost because like they don't care what he does, which as a Cowboys fan should worry you.
I don't think he's trying to say he's done, but I think he's trying to say, like, hey, Zeke, if you don't come back, we're still going to have a chance to win a Super Bowl. I think he's really trying to just bait Zeke into saying, okay, I'll take the, like, lesser contract. But I think Zeke's playing this smart. I think he'll let him go to the regular season. And I tell you right now, if that man does not break 100 yards, Tony Pollard, if he does not break 100 yards first game, rushing, he's
going to be hell to pay.
He's done. They're gonna run to Zeke and they're going, please come back. We need you. He's gonna say,
I mean, you can already almost see it. The
money?
Cowboys, especially with Cowboys fans, how dedicated their fan base is, right? You can almost already see it like game one. If he doesn't break like 100 yards game one, there's gonna be riots outside Cowboys HQ. You can almost already see it just because they know how the chances they have with this team this year is high. They know they have a good team this year, and they know that if they don't have Zeke, their chances of winning and getting to the playoffs drop significantly.
oh,
So,
100%.
and they love Zeke as much as Cowboys fans love Zeke, right? They just do.
Yeah.
And so if Jerry Jones is not paying him and there's besides the real reason he doesn't want to as much as he wants to, they're gonna be rioting on him. You can already know anyone who loves the Cowboys and you know how dedicated their fan base is.
Oh, very.
They will be rioting on them. I'm telling you.
If they lose to the Redskins, they have to sign him at that point.
That would be bad. That'd be real bad.
I mean, I feel like if you lose, because the Giants are week 1.
They play the Giants week 1, who they should smother. By the way,
they
should not be close.
They should start out 3-0 this year.
There's only one problem when they play the Giants is if Saquon does great.
Right.
Like
that's a chance.
If the Giants were to win, they would have to first of all bench Eli for Daniel Jones. I don't think Daniel Jones is good enough yet, but they're not winning with Eli. He showed up
in that first preseason though. Not tremendous.
I think he did actually I have a stat line. He's threw for 67 yards, a touchdown. He went 5 for 5. Cool.
It's not bad.
He did okay, but it's a preseason game, so I don't take any of that too seriously. I think it's more or less just getting them into game speed, but even then, regular season changes everything. Yeah. But there's only one player on that team that's going to be any good, and that's Saquon. Because Saquon's the number 1, the number 2, if not number 1 back. Because Zeke, in my opinion, is still a little better than Saquon because Zeke he's got a better line, so he'll obviously be a little bit better. How Saquon does this year is entirely dependent on him because he's got no help. Period.
True. He does.
But the Giants aren't. The Giants should not win against the Cowboys. But if that does happen, first of all, Giants fans are going to be up and down screaming. The Cowboys fans are going to be up and down screaming at Jerry Jones to sign. Please sign Zeke. It would help us so much. It's exactly. Like, look, we've got 2 years to win a Super Bowl here. But we need to get rid of Dak and sign Zeke.
Based upon looking at their schedule, right? And based everything that I see with the Cowboys and how good they are, I think they probably could go 3-0 without Zeke, but their hardest game, and as insane as it is for these words to come out of my mouth, is probably going to be against the Redskins if they don't have Zeke.
Well, who are the first 3 games? I know it's the
Giants. So the first 3 games, you got the
Redskins.
Giants, and then you have the Redskins right after that, which if they lose that game would be horrible for the Cowboys, right? That's a rival. It's a huge rivalry. And if they don't have Zeke, they're going to be so mad they lost that game, right? And then right after that, they play the Dolphins, who are dumpsters. So it doesn't matter anything about the Dolphins, unless the Dolphins just have an amazing start to the season, which I don't see happening, but whatever.
With who?
I know.
Who's the ball going to?
I don't know, but that's my point. Anyway, but the 4th game is where they're going to need Zeke. They're not going to win with Tony Pollard against the Saints. Okay, they can't beat the Saints without Zeke, so they're going to have to sign him by week 4. So look, I don't see them not signing him before that.
Game with Zeke.
You're probably right, honestly.
It's going to be hard for them to beat the Saints.
If I remember correctly, my prediction was the Saints from the NFC are going to the Super Bowl. So I really don't think they got a chance against that one.
No, even if
But
they
you
have
never
Zeke, it's going
know.
to be hard. But they are not winning without him. Period.
Oh yeah, like
So I don't see I
it
don't see
was
how they couldn't sign him before week 4.
another thing I read was that the Cowboys have Super Bowl hopes with
When did
a
they not?
non Super Bowl quarterback. I was like, that's shots fired at Dak, but also the only reason Dak is as good as he is because when Zeke brings that eighth man to the box or ninth man to the box,
Mm-hmm.
it opens up a lot because now you can they had an okay receiver before, but now they got Amari. So
Yeah,
if they pull people off of Amari and bring him down to control Zeke, Dak's gonna look better. But let's see what happens. I honestly want to see what happens when Dak plays week 1, even though it's against the Giants. I want to see how well he does.
I think they'll if they've signed Zeke by then, I think he'll look good just because Zeke will open up so much running
I know I'm
space.
saying if they don't have Zeke, I'm
But if
gonna
they
watch that game
if
and
they
I'm gonna
don't
tell
have
you what
Zeke,
happened. Yeah.
okay, so if they don't have Zeke, then in that case, I think it's actually going to be because the few times they played when Zeke was suspended last year, right, and they
Mhm.
didn't play, and Dak basically was carrying the brunt of load. Their O line was so good that almost every running back they put in did decent. Like they didn't do Zeke numbers, but they did decent, right?
Yeah, but
And
if they've got to rotate 3 different running backs, that's gonna be tough.
and their rotation is terrible. They have their backup to Tony Pollard. If I guess Tony Pollard
Pollard.
is their
Yeah.
Pollard. Sorry,
You're
Tony
gonna make me
Pollard is
mad
their
saying that.
starter in place of Zeke. Then they have Alfred Morris and somebody I've never heard of, so I can't even remember the name of it. Literally already.
Yeah, but
Completely.
they're gonna be splitting carries.
So they have a veteran and somebody who's probably just a sign on, right?
Yeah.
And so they're going to be splitting carries between 3 people, which is never a good thing as a running back core. You don't want to really do
Yeah,
that
you need
between
somebody to
3 people.
get a flow going so they can get into the
Exactly.
game. If you keep changing them out, I mean, like if there's like a guy who's like a third down running back, okay, fine, I understand bringing him in like that, but you can't be like one play, next play, other play, and just like different running back each time.
Yeah, exactly.
That's gonna
And
be unreal.
last year.
Yeah.
yeah, pretty much. And
You have 2 potentially Pro Bowl running backs.
yeah,
Maybe.
that was insane last year. But again, they traded that because they didn't want to have a clutter like they did last year as well. And I think it'll honestly show if they still haven't signed Zeke, especially that first game, if Dak is good enough like given what everything expected of him this year, if he's actually a good quarterback. Because so many people have asked themselves is he actually good, or is it just because of how good his team is around him he looks good?
Because
In certain
he has the
situations
number
he
one
looks
offensive
good.
line, and it's
does.
hard not to be good when you got a good line.
It is, and that's something that even bad quarterbacks look good when they have a good offensive line. So
Yeah, like they've got time to throw it, and it lets them like settle down. They're not as like rushed and scrambled. It's what happens. But
exactly.
what was it? I believe in the top 100. I mean, granted, this is player voted, but they rated the top 100 players for the NFL 100, and I don't think he made the list.
Wow.
I don't think Dak made the list.
Wow.
I think Zeke was 21, and I think Zeke was 21. Saquon was 18.
Wow.
Just because of like their value to each other. Like, yeah,
That's
Zeke is good and valuable to that team, but like Saquon was the Giants.
Yeah, it's true.
But
I didn't see this, but apparently a week ago, and I must have missed it somehow. Eric Dickerson, you guys all know who Eric Dickerson was.
Yeah. Oh, I think I read this quote.
He apparently talked to Ezekiel Elliott's agent about a week ago, and he said the agent told him that it's extremely possible he's going to miss some games. He said he wants to play, but this is business. Zeke's the best player on that team. If he misses 4 weeks, I guarantee you they'll probably win 1 game.
I can agree with that. There's going to be the Giants game.
Exactly. So
I mean, have a comeback year. He's gonna be the best player in that year.
Who?
Amari Cooper.
Oh, I think Amari's going to be good. I
must have missed that entirely, but that's very interesting to say that Zeke's serious about this as much as people didn't think he was at the start. He's very, very serious about this holdout, and he will do what's necessary, especially to prove that he is the entire team, I guess.
Yeah, it's going to be so the way somebody said it was in one of the quotes, it was an old offensive lineman who's now an analyst for another for I believe it's ESPN. He said something. I'm paraphrasing. I'm definitely not quoting him word for word. But long story short, he said Zeke has no ammo.
Yeah.
Zeke's holding out with like no ammunition. He's got nothing to tell them like sign me now. Only thing he's got is to wait for the regular season, and if the second the Cowboys lose a game, his ammo, he's getting stockpiles at that point.
Exactly.
He is loading up, and the second they lose, he's gonna come out firing and say, "Look at them. They can't do anything without me."
here's the thing I hate so much about these holdouts is that in the past there was some teammate loyalty where you could do that. This is not something new that just all appeared out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Players, veterans in the past, especially in the NFL, could do this. They always had this option, but there was like a sense of loyalty of like, I want to be around my brothers, my teammates. I want to try to get to the playoffs. I want to try to have the best record possible. But now, because they want to get paid as much as possible, they're willing to just sit out regular season games. They're willing to take a hit on the payday every single game in order to get a massive check.
Well, another thing is though he saw what happened to DeMarco Murray, the Cowboys running back before. They ran him to the dirt and then they kicked him out.
I remember that.
Think about it. If he's going to be doing the exact same thing, he's saying, "Look, I've got like 3-4 more seasons of good play.
Yeah.
Give me my contract. Give me my money because he's like, you're going to put me through the doghouse." He's like, he's gonna run the gauntlet every game. You need him to be paid. You need him to be like willing to play well. And if he gets hurt, come back with a vengeance.
True.
If you don't do that, he's got no incentive to come out and play because he's like, you're just gonna run me to death. I'm not gonna get a good payday. I'm not gonna make any money off of this, and I'm not gonna win a championship.
Yeah.
He's like, so what's the point? He's like, if I don't win a championship, at least I'm paid.
That's true. That's true. That's very, very true. And I cannot see the Cowboys waiting longer than at max. If they lose that first game, there's no way they don't give him the money he wants. But if they win the first game, there's no way they wait longer until the Saints because they know they're going to lose without him against the Saints.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's pretty much all I got on that topic. I mean, I think we got 2 more to go.
Just pay him. Jeez. Just pay him.
Cole's like the sense of reason right now. He's like, really? please pay him.
Your team will be so boring to watch without him. No one will care.
That's so. In many ways, that's true. I mean, the Cowboys obviously are always going to be watched just because
they've got
the Cowboys.
Their big games. They've got.
They are a lot more. But when they don't have a Zeke, it does like show their weaknesses significantly.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But so now we're gonna
cut the Cowboys.
What would you?
We cut the Cowboys till the Zeke comes back. So now I think we're moving on to NBA news, right?
If you want.
I'm okay with it. I think we got there's two topics that I believe you wanted to discuss. There's the Bradley Beal trade rumors that are.
We'll start with that one because it's going to be a little bit shorter. I mean, we talked about earlier in our full length podcast on episode 2, I believe.
Right.
And we talked about the possibility of Beal going, and I remember this part specifically. You said Beal to the Nuggets, and I said, "Oh, that'd be a good trade." Yeah.
Yeah.
But the way it's looking is the Wizards want to try and I don't know why they're trying to keep him in the East, but okay.
They're stupid.
But supposedly the rumors are he's like rumors with the Heat, Sixers, Bucks, Celtics, 3 of those top teams in the East. And I mean, if he goes to the Heat and Jimmy Butler, like the thing is, Beal's like a great teammate. He's willing to not play. He's willing to play off ball, not demand the ball all the time. So Jimmy Butler, who's going to be demanding the ball all the time in Miami, if he's got a solid 3-point shooter out in the wing, there you go. There's Beal. You've got a chance. Not necessarily a great team, but you got a chance.
Yeah, you do.
I mean, they're still going to be 8 seed. There's no way they're going to go anywhere else. Not with Jimmy Butler like being the only man.
Yeah, I think
Beal went.
The East has gotten a lot better in the offseason, I think.
100%.
So, I mean, they could win, I don't know, maybe 45 games or something. Nothing crazy if they added Bradley.
So
they would still get him an 8 spot in the playoff, I think.
Apparently,
that's above 500.
I didn't see this one either, but apparently, to add on to this, there's another rumor, along with Bradley Beal, is John Wall, is that the Heat are rumored to think that they could make. Basically, they're saying they could make John Wall an all-star if the Wizards trade materialized. And what to sum up basically is that they've asked the question: would the Washington Wizards be willing to trade Bradley Beal to dump John Wall? Because they don't want the Wizards and John Wall have not gotten along for quite a while, and everyone knows this. But his contract is terrible, right?
Yeah, it's awful.
So it's one of the worst in the entire NBA.
No, it is the worst. Period.
Oh, it's the worst in the NBA. My bad. But so the Wizards are apparently just still trying to keep Bradley Beal because they like him. But John Wall's got, they don't see eye to eye ever. But apparently the Heat have been in rumors surrounding both John Wall and Bradley Beal all summer, and Pat Riley is trying to basically get one of them. I'm not sure if he's trying to get who they're trying to get, but I think they're trying to, as you mentioned, I think they're trying to get Bradley Beal.
I think
But
they'd be
they
better with
also
Beal, but
they also apparently trying to take on. They also, if they can get Bradley Beal, they are also apparently willing to take on John Wall as well, if that's what it would come to get Bradley Beal.
shoot, if I'm the Wizards and I hear I'll take John Wall's contract, it's like, okay, what do you need? You're there. You're listening.
Yeah, that's apparently something they'd be willing to do. Is the only team that I've seen that about is the Miami Heat. Is that the only way I think that if I'm the Wizards, that's one of the only ways I'd be willing to trade Bradley Beal is if they if they take on the John Wall contract of how terrible that is for both sides. Well, mainly just for the Wizards actually, but how terrible it is if they would take both of those players. You're crushing your team, right? But if they take both those players, you can finally do your rebuild.
Oh yeah, you're starting a rebuild like 100%, but
they've been rebuilding since like 2008.
True, but my point is they can finally
since
make
Gilbert
it
Arenas left. They've been trying to.
That's true, but my point is they can finally make it official. Like here is the actual final start of the rebuild, where like
well, no, it's not the final start. It's hey, we're restarting. We're restarting times 2.
Exactly, and continuing with all the bad blood between the Wizards and their fan base and John Wall and everything that's the past few years. If they can actually do that trade, that'd be insane. But I don't know if knowing Wizards as I have known them for the years, their front office hates doing anything good. So I don't see them doing it, especially with Wizards, because they just don't like the idea of trading Bradley Beal. I don't think, but maybe if they could get that'd be a big bonus.
I don't know why they wouldn't, because they can't draft. They're terrible at drafting. They're absolutely horrible at it. They've made 2 good draft picks, John Wall and Bradley Beal.
Yeah, that's true.
But even then, they didn't place anything around them to get a chance to win.
Yeah.
So it's like, are you really a good front office then?
But
you got to pick one to be good at, either trading or drafting. You got to pick one, and they just don't care.
But apparently, a lot of Wizards insiders still believe that they are trying to they have an internal belief they can make John Wall a useful player again. So,
I mean, if he can do that in Miami, go for it. I'd get rid of him.
I meant the Wizards think they can make John Wall a useful player
there's
again.
no way. No. Just no.
And
they need to get rid of him. Like,
you're taking a spot. I mean, the 4 years, $170 million, right? That's so bad of a contract.
If you can get rid of it, get rid of it.
Jesus,
that's so big. Because that's such a huge. If you can't trade him, you can't drop him because that's one of the worst hits in history to your as a contract. That's one of the worst contract hits in history, right? But you can't trade him because no one wants to take on that contract either. So you're just stuck with them in this hate relationship you have with both of each other, because although John Wall's getting paid a lot, he hates his team. He hates Bradley Beal. They hate each other. And so as much as as bad as that internal beef is, the Heat are willing to do that. I think as a Wizard, you just go full, you say, fuck it, full rebuild, do it.
Full send, time to quit.
Full send, 100%. And you say the next 3 years are going to suck, but after that, maybe we'll be good. But again, they've been promising that for the last 10 years. So I really don't know if I ever will trust the Wizards on that.
He's the only reason Washington's relevant in basketball.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if they get rid of him, they're losing their only centerpiece of like, oh, we have a team, guys, look.
Yeah.
No, if he's hurt and you can get rid of him, do it. I mean, look, the Wizards have already sucked. I'm pretty sure Washington the only championship they've had in, I forget even how long, was the Caps winning a Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
They need a serious, like, hockey's big. Phone go away. Siri's like, hello? I'm like, no, I don't want you. No, but so, like I said though, hockey's not big, like as big as the NFL or NBA.
No, it's not.
Like, it's pretty big in DC just because the Caps are actually good.
It's the only good part about DC.
It's the only thing they have to celebrate, honestly. Or at least
the only thing about
year.
DC sports.
Yeah.
So they need to make a bang. Either the Redskins need to win or the Wizards need to win. And I think we know who has a better chance of winning right now.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, who is it? Because I don't.
Well, I mean, you would
neither
think
of them
it'd
got
be
a
the
good chance.
Nationals, but then you would think they also.
Oh, I'm saying between the NBA and NFL, who has a better
between the
chance?
NBA,
The Nats are by far the best team in DC.
I mean, the
besides
Wizards
the hockey
they
teams.
hate that. The Wizards internally just hate everything about each other, so they all hate each other. And the NFL, the Redskins, like they don't have an actual. I don't know, Dwayne Haskins. We
What's
don't
a
know what he'll
team?
be.
It's all just what can Dwayne Haskins be? That's
really,
just
and
what they're trying to find out.
So I mean, if I
It's
had to
gonna take a
pick,
year.
the team that has more potential, more future potential, would be the Redskins because they have a
Yeah.
lot of young draft picks. But if I had to pick
Yeah.
right now, I'd probably say the Wizards are still slightly better than the Redskins.
But just
Barely.
wait. If they trade, they've got nothing.
Unless they trade, and then they literally fall to the bottom of absolutely nowhere. But like, I think the only team that I mean, maybe the Celtics could, as you were mentioning, the Celtics would be willing to trade for Bradley Beal. But
I don't know why. Their team's pretty well set.
they're,
I
they're
wouldn't do it with them.
the trade that apparently has been rumored is the Wizards would be trading Bradley Beal to the Celtics. They would get Gordon Hayward, Jaylen Brown, and a draft pick or two.
Yo, there's no way if I'm the Celtics, I am taking that.
If I'm the Wizards, I'm taking that.
It's pretty good for the
100%.
Wizards, I
Yeah,
think.
the Wizards win that trade. Like, granted, Hayward's not what he used to be,
No.
but Brown's going to be a good defender.
And draft
like-
picks, of course.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, Brown's a solid defender. If I'm the Celtics, I'm not getting rid of him.
Yeah. I don't know.
I like Tatum more than Brown, but I mean, if Brown's willing to be like either that guy playing the 2 guard for, I don't know why he would, but he would.
Well, they'd also be trading Ish Smith, but that's a smaller person.
What is that?
Adds
Who cares?
Yeah,
I
right.
know.
That's just like, here, take this.
Exactly.
Oh, we need to get rid of something to get that guy. Who cares?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so,
That's a Wizards win though if they get that.
So yeah, I think that's a potential. That's the newest Bradley Beal rumor trade that came up yesterday, and it would actually apparently some people are saying it'd be beneficial for the Celtics as well, but because they would Bradley Beal's the better player out of all of them that they'd be trading, but at the same time you're praying that he's still gonna be good because like right now it's his prime, right? And you're praying that this prime will be enough to put the Celtics where they think they will be this year, right?
They do need a shooter like him.
Yeah,
Because Hayward's not what he was.
And I don't know. I don't know if the
just
Wizards
seems like a
are
silly
never a
trade to
team
me.
that like actually makes big decisions to me. Like they don't ever actually do anything major.
They'll just stay stagnant. Oh, we'll keep John Wall's contract and Bradley Beal.
And
It's like,
here's
what
the
are we
thing.
doing?
They offered so the Wizards offered Bradley Beal. They did actually offer him a contract extension, right? And that was about a week ago. It was 3 years, $111 million. And Bradley Beal has until October to sign it, or late October to sign it. John Wall thinks he's going to sign it. That's what he was quoted by saying. But most are saying that Bradley Beal should wait and see what other trade offers pop up for the Wizards. So I think the Wizards don't want us. I don't think the Wizards want to trade him. I think they actually want to re-sign him. And I think
That would be a mistake.
I don't think it'd be a good idea because he's not going to do anything for you. Your team is not going to go anywhere. It's not like Go ahead, Cole.
I don't think he's he's not a piece that you could build a championship or anything. I don't think he's that good.
He's the guy you bring in to win the championship.
Yeah, he's like the second. He could be the second best player in a championship.
He's the
Or the
Klay
third.
Thompsons of the Warriors, the side piece to your star.
Yeah. He's your co-star, he's your sidekick, he's one of those.
Apparently they I don't know. So like I look at all these things and there's so many different rumors going on about him. Everyone thinks they have a
there will be
different idea.
rumors
So I can't
until,
address every single one of them because I don't know which true or not, but the bigger one that seemed to be is the Celtics one and the Heat one obviously as well. I think for the Wizards they win probably the best option if they did the Celtics. But if they can get rid of John Wall's contract by doing it, the Heat are willing to take that, that's an even bigger win.
Right now. Do it right
Dude,
now.
I would do that so
What
quick.
are you waiting for?
He's got, so I mean, I don't know. We'll have to see what happens because John Wall, I don't know if he's going to be because I believe he was injured all year last year, right?
Who?
John Wall. I believe.
Well,
I don't think he was
John Wall.
as good as he
how
was
many
last
games
year.
he played?
No.
No, he's not. He was not as good as he was in the past years. Last year, I know that for a
Played
fact. But
32 games last year.
okay, so he was injured most of the
And then got
season,
hurt
so-
again.
and then got hurt again. So he's
Like,
he's
oh
kind
my
of like
gosh.
he's a glass cannon type player where he's very good, but he's very successful to injuries, and that's why I think the Wizards are so keen on or so many teams are keen on not trading for him because they know one, his
What could
contract's
happen?
horrible, and he could get injured at any time.
Yeah.
And so when you have that, and the Wizards also have Bradley Beal, who we don't know what he's going to do. I don't know what you can think really that and what I don't know which direction the Wizards should go in. But if they can get rid of both of them, I'd say do it. But
They
if they
need
can
to
only get
rebuild.
rid of, yeah, I think they do, and I think if they can only get rid of Bradley Beal for the Celtics trade, that's not a bad option either. And I don't
Oh
think
no.
I
They would
know
win
they
that
put the
trade.
table. I know they put the offer on the table just to make the fans happy because to keep Bradley Beal because that's really their only option right now, depending on if these rumors are legitimate or not. But I think for the Wizards as a fan base and for their team alone, the best option would be the Heat if they can get both of them off their roster.
So you're saying you'd rather them start a rebuild than just trade for other players?
I mean, 100%. I don't think anyone thinks the Wizards are going to be relevant anytime soon. And as a fan, I haven't thought about the Wizards being as a relevant playoff team in years. So, and that's mainly due to the fact that the two-star players can't stand each other and have had beefs for so long, and that the management's been so incredibly bad in the last few years. Now, finally, they've kicked out some people in the upper management, but it's not all of them gone. But the rest of the team's terrible. Besides those two players, so you look at the team, and I just think that as a fan personally, I would say get rid of them both and start your rebuild. Start your official rebuild that you should have started 3 years ago, but didn't because you offered John Wall that hideous
massive contract.
that you should have
I
not
get
done,
that.
but you did.
Well, there's that. Hopefully, I think we can all agree the Wizards just trade and rebuild, please.
I mean, sometimes
us
you just gotta let the forest burn down. Sometimes
You gotta
they
bite the
can go
bullet.
back.
Yeah, right. Just bite the bullet, let the forest burn. Don't try and put it out. Time to restart.
Yep.
But so on to our last topic, and this is kind of a big one. This is going to cover both the sports because we had two teams reach both the championship in their respective sports. The Patriots in theirs, they ended up winning their Super Bowl. And then you have Golden State, who literally had every break for them go wrong. Like
almost
they would be champions right now. There's no way that Raptors team wins if KD doesn't go down and Clay. Even if it was just KD that went down, they were looking like they were still gonna lose, or the Raptors would lose.
Just
Clay came
Kawhi
back
went
and was just like Clay
Super
came back
Saiyan.
and was right. He just went nuts. But then if Clay doesn't go down, the thing is Steph in the playoffs, he's good, but he's not great. He's not that
Falls
guy.
off.
He's over. I think when he took that last shot in game, what was it, 6?
Yeah,
The last game?
Yeah.
The last game of the series, he took a shot. He was 0 for 7 with under 8 seconds left on the clock.
Yeah, man.
He's 0 for 8 now.
Yeah, he's over it now. I watched the Warriors in the playoffs for the last few years, and I also watched them during the regular season the last few years, mainly 5 years or 4 to 5 years ago, is where I mainly watched their stretch. And Steph in the regular season is insane, but then it gets to the playoffs, and he just I don't know what it is, but there's a transition where he just kind of
He plays up to his height at that point. Short.
Exactly.
But I mean,
yeah, go ahead.
the real question with these two teams are, because we've seen dynasties, the Warriors football is a little different of a dynasty because of who we're talking about, the Patriots. We'll talk about them last because that's a whole different conversation.
Yeah.
In dynasty scenario. But now you got the Warriors. We talked about last week Draymond's contract extension, and I think that hurts them in this. But is their dynasty over? Because now they signed certain people. They're trying to salvage what they had last year. KD's gone.
Yeah.
Clay's going to be injured all year. Will he still be the same when he comes back? That's another question. Then they lose their bench. They lost Iggy. So the core players for that team was Iggy, Clay, Steph, Dre.
Yeah.
Being Draymond Green. That being their core, and they built around that. Now they're missing Iggy, Clay, and will Steph live up to MVP hype? There's so many questions regarding this team and where will they be come playoff time and where will they end up? Will they be going home or are they going to another championship? So I want to know what your guys' opinion is on whether or not they're a dynasty still. Is their dynasty falling off? Is it over? Is it going to have a chance to keep going? What's happening?
Go ahead, go.
I don't think it's over necessarily. I think that next year, a really good chance for Steph to be like, all right, if I can make this team back into what they can be, I can cement myself as like one of the best point guards ever. So, I don't know. I don't think it's over. I still think they're obviously still one of the best teams in the league because they're just so stacked everywhere. Didn't they also lose DeMarcus Cousins? Didn't he go to the Lakers or something?
Yeah, he did.
I mean, he wasn't doing a ton because he was always injured, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's over, but I think they're at risk to lose it because of how much better the rest of the league has gotten in the offseason, just a free agency. So I don't think it's over yet, though.
Okay. Personally, I think Steph, when you were mentioning, when the Warriors were on their insane run stretch and they were winning everything without Kevin Durant, I think, Steph, when Kevin Durant came to that team, he had to, he realized he had to take a step back, and Kevin Durant is a better player than Steph, and no one disagrees on that. But and it kind of made Steph have to take a step back from his double MVP form, back-to-back MVPs, and kind of basically be like the second best player right next to KD. And I think with him gone, and not the same core, but very close to the same core, with, Clay, we're not sure what's going to happen, how he'll be when he comes back, and Draymond's contract getting done, established. You have Steph, and he's going to be looking at the team. I think now he's like, okay, this is my team again. I control this. Clay's not here to be even my real sidekick. We're not quite sure how long he'll be out for, blah, blah, blah. We're not sure if he'll even be great when he comes back again. But he's going to have to basically take over the game as he did in his back-to-back MVP years and just control everything. And if he can do that, if he can do as insane as we know he's possible, which I don't think he can personally. I think those 2 years were insane, and what he did was insane during those 2 years. But he also had everything going right for him. His team was basically feeding him the ball pretty much because he was doing so well. And Clay wasn't known as this insane shooter who's insanely good as he is now. And sometimes Clay was even better shooting than Steph was in the past few years when KD was on the team. So given that, and given, as you guys mentioned, the East and the West getting much, much better than when the Warriors were dominating it, I think personally you're going to have to look at it and say, you got to look at it from a standpoint of they just have harder competition, and Steph's going to have to try even harder than he did before, even when he was in his back-to-back MVP form. So you look at that, you look at how much better the teams are getting, although to me, it kind of feels like every year a team becomes relevant and then drops out. The only team that's kind of stayed relevant these past few years is probably the Warriors, if we're being honest. The only team that's stayed majorly relevant, besides when Cleveland had LeBron, is the Warriors. And in considering that and the money that they make every year, they'll have the ability to purchase in new trades, do new draft picks, get people in that they need because they just make so much money every year. But I think this will be the last year. Personally, I think this is the last year of their dynasty. And unless Steph just has a baller here like he's been known to do in the past, I think this is it. And I think they fall off a bit because although they have some great talent, I don't see them being able to even maybe I don't remember exactly where I put them. I think I have them in the playoffs. I don't know how far I have them going into the playoffs, but I don't think they go back to another final. At least not from here on out. Unless they sign some big name player in the offseason next year, then maybe.
Just fine.
Okay, I mean, I get that. Can you guys still hear me? I'm just checking.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah.
Okay. In my opinion, I think the reason I say I think it's over, it's not because of Steph's falling off or anything. I think Steph's still a good player. I think because of how well he and Clay shoot, it will keep them relevant. But just because you shoot well doesn't mean you'll perform in the playoffs.
Yeah.
A dynasty means you're there winning championships consistently. Their dynasty started in 2015, right? When they won their first one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It had a chink in the armor when they lost to LeBron after losing, was it 3 straight? Yeah.
Yeah, they're
Big
up
oof.
3-1.
Up 3-1. The only time in NBA history that's happened.
Yeah.
That's a big chink in their dynasty, but it came back and they won the next 2 years. And then they lost last year,
Right.
which being the 2019 championship. But even then, it's just because literally things did not go their way. The basketball gods were not on their side.
True.
Now, after that, their team was stacked. You had KD. Like, this was your starting lineup, basically. You had Steph, Clay, KD, Draymond, Boogie. You tell me that five isn't beating everybody if they're healthy.
It's insane, but if they have to be healthy.
Yeah. But that's my point.
Yeah.
KD went down. Boogie was playing okay. He wasn't great. He was still kind of hurt.
Right.
Clay got hurt. That was it. When those three went down, that was it. That was literally a dynasty falling apart. Because what happens from here? You'll see Clay come back. Granted, I don't think Clay's going to drop off. Like, if he does, it'll be literally slightly. It will not be anything else.
He's not running around the court.
True. But even then, you're losing KD, which made you unbeatable. You're losing Boogie, who just a nice piece to add. Make sure nobody else really had him in all reality.
Yeah.
Like, why bring him in? Just so nobody else can have him. We're those guys.
We're that rich.
Because we
Yeah.
can.
Because we can.
Exactly. But look at their bench. They bring on Russell.
Who
No.
could be a starter anywhere.
Yeah, he could start probably. Well, I mean,
Almost anywhere.
Yeah, almost anywhere. I'll give you that. But like that kind of thing, if you got to bring that in, I'm gonna show you the Golden State. I'm gonna read you the list of players on their roster right now. Well, this is last year's roster, which I'm pretty sure is Looney gone. I know Cook's gone.
I'm not entirely sure who they actually traded off.
Here, let's see. Maybe they have an updated roster here.
But,
Here's their updated roster. They got Andrew Bogut, Willie Cauley-Stein, who, in my opinion, is not that great. He's just a big glass cleaner.
Yeah.
Like, that's all he is. Alec Burks, Steph, Dre, Jonas Jerebko, Damian Lee, Sean Livingston, Kevin Looney's still there, Glenn Robinson III, D'Angelo Russell, and Clay. Like, those are their only significant players.
Right.
These guys, so either Bogut's coming off the bench or Stein's coming off the bench. And even then, Karl Anthony Towns is going to tear that man up. Either of them.
Either one.
People like that are going to tear this team up inside. If their guards are good enough, they can lock them down. Like this year, this is the reason we say this year is like the most open ever, because they call it like this is the year of the duo, right?
Yeah.
Because Clay's kind of hurt. I mean, once he comes back, they'll be the only trio still, only big three.
Right.
But you can't tell me Kawhi and Paul George aren't going to step up on Clay and Curry when they come in.
Yeah, I mean, I think even
who's
Clay.
Who's going to come back? Who's going to be that guy to just step up for the Warriors? Because Draymond's not consistent offensively. Draymond's going to lock down on defense. Like, I'm not worried about that.
Yeah.
They're not going to be as offensively horrifying anymore.
See,
that's what they need to be.
That's exactly why I'm thinking it's going to go off, is because now with all these teams having all these big men together, like these small forwards, these power forwards who are insanely good, right?
They can guard all five.
And can guard all five positions. The Warriors' biggest struggle, if you look at it, when they had all their prime players all healthy, their biggest struggle has always been against teams with power forwards, insanely good small forwards, insanely good power forwards. LeBron,
like guys that could shoot.
Exactly,
or
guys
play
that can
inside,
shoot or play very well inside. That's always been their biggest struggles, because they don't have necessarily the best center, their best power forward, the best small forward. That's not their strength, right? And so that's why I think they're going to get chopped up in the playoffs by these teams who are on these insane duels, the Lakers, the Clippers, all these insane teams that gathered all these dual players who are just kind of big men playing, who can shoot, playing inside, playing defense, playing offense. And I think that's what's going to chew them up the most, is they're going to have this issue that they have run into in the past years when they've been so dominant.
Mm-hmm. The stretch bigs are going to be killing them, I think.
Yeah.
Like Bogut and Cauley Stein are not going to be the guys guarding. Like Bogut can shoot threes. Who's going to step out and guard him as or Karl Anthony Towns or Joel Embiid? Like these guys are all 7-footers who are shooting threes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Who's gonna guard? Giannis. Like,
If Giannis gets his shooting down, like seriously, who's going to step up?
if he can figure out how to shoot a three, who is gonna actually?
Well, yeah, we'll figure that out next season if he can.
Exactly. So, I mean, that's the Warriors' biggest problem has been in the past, and now that it's like that's the huge prevalence that it is in this year's NBA, and how much the NBA has kind of changed because of that this year. That's like their biggest weakness is being like put on full display this year. And if they get to the playoffs, which I think they will, because they'll be good enough
I think
to
they'll make the
playoffs
playoffs
for sure. I don't see them doing very well in it because their biggest weakness will be against every single team pretty much in the playoffs.
Who do you guys have winning the West? What do you guys think?
All right. All right. So
Go
last
ahead.
time, like, I feel like I was drunk because I said, well, and here's another reason I'm gonna change my pick now because I said I could before season starts.
Right.
I said the Trailblazers, but that was before I realized Damian was into as much rap as he is. I'm not saying rap's bad. I'm saying like he's more focused on his mixtape than he is his basketball career.
So mean.
Huh?
So mean.
I know, right, dude? No.
Maybe he's
If I'm a
fire
basketball,
rapper.
I mean, he might be. Apparently, his album's pretty good. I haven't heard it yet, but that's my thing. I thought like because he talks like such a mad game. Like
Yeah, he does.
he always said like, look, I'm staying here. We're gonna win. We don't need a big three. We can do it. I said that's the fire I like to hear. But then he's like, nah, fam, I'm gonna go work on my music career while playing NBA basketball. Like, are you kidding me? Like, I was like, I had faith.
He gets
I dropped it within like 3 days after hearing that.
distractions, man. Every single time that ruins the best players.
I mean, he'll still be good, but after hearing that, I'm a little worried. So I'm gonna change it. I am gonna say that I'm actually gonna pick the Clippers just because I saw what they were last year. Adding Kawhi and PG is huge, and I really think like their teams. It's not stacked, but it's a good team. That's what we saw with
Right.
Toronto. It's a good team that can make the finals.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you on that part. Although, see, me and Cole constantly disagree on this when we talk in private about the NBA and who goes where,
boy.
and especially this year, where
What is
we
it?
disagree.
Because
But
he doesn't think he thinks the Lakers are gonna lose.
I think the Lakers are not.
No.
I mentioned this. I mentioned this in the podcast. I mentioned this. Like, I think it was last week, where I specifically said I do not think the Lakers are going to be as good as everyone thinks they will be. Right? Because I mentioned this last week. I for proof, you can go back and watch it and listen. And I mentioned it. I don't think the Lakers are going to be anywhere near as good as they actually are believed to be. But I believe I have the I can't remember who I have in the finals,
I
but
think
it
you
might
said
be
the Rockets.
it's either the Rockets or I think it might be the Rockets are going to be my team to go to the finals from the West, because I think the firepower with Russell Westbrook at as insane as he has been the past few years, even if he's just a ball hog, with Russell Westbrook and James Harden, who we all know what he can do anyway. As long as he learns, he has to play defense on every occasion,
Possession.
every possession,
Every possession.
he has to play some defense. That team just on point, given how many points they put up in the past few years, even without Russell Westbrook, and you look at them last year, they were still one of the top. I believe they're one of the top leading scorers across the league, right? I could be wrong, but
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they have in the last few years. With all the defense that is like with all the firepower on offense, I think the West is going to be centered around high-powered offenses. And so, as good as the defense can be on some of the teams, I don't think they'll be able to stop Russell Westbrook and James Harden. That's why I think once they get into the playoffs, as long as they can keep what they do in the regular season up in the playoffs and they don't fall off dramatically, I still have the Rockets going through.
And then I'm assuming, Cole, you have the Lakers.
I have not been
You
able
could
to make my mind up about who's gonna win the West, because I feel like the Clippers are gonna have really good team chemistry just because they wanted to play with each other, and
Mhm.
I don't know about the Rockets because, they've played together. James Harden and Westbrook have played together
But that was
before.
before they're both MVP caliber players.
I know
Yeah.
they've changed their games a lot, and especially Harden taken a much bigger role in his teams.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that dynamic is gonna work, because it's just
Mhm.
two super ball dominant players are now just being shoved back together.
Yeah, that's my concern.
I
Yes,
see
my
that.
pick would probably have to go to the Clippers though. just because it seemed. I just think though you're gonna have extremely good chemistry for some reason.
I'm telling you
They
guys,
just wanted to play with each
the
other.
teams in LA are not going to be as good as everyone thinks there is. And there's one reason I'm putting this. I haven't really said it, but there's one main reason is because when you put all that talent onto both of those teams, especially the Clippers, I mean, the Clippers look insane, right? Kawhi's considered to be the best player in the league right now, right?
I mean,
By
I
most,
wouldn't
I mean,
say
most
that.
critics, not saying you guys, but most critics are saying he's the best player in the league right now. For
Yeah, that's
some
true.
people say LeBron,
Probably
some
is
people
the
say
best.
Kawhi.
He has the most well-rounded game.
That is true.
In a
I'll
general
say that
sense, he's
much.
a better shooter than LeBron in some ways, I think, and maybe not as good defensively, but that's besides the point.
Wait, what?
He's better defensively than
You guys
LeBron.
Yeah,
think
he's
he's better
better than
defensively?
LeBron.
He has 2
Than
Defensive Player of the
LeBron,
Year
yes.
awards.
Oh,
LeBron doesn't play D,
all right.
bro.
Well, okay, so he's not as good in the paint as LeBron is. Then let's put
Okay,
it that
that's
way.
true.
All right.
So, you look at the Clippers and you get Kawhi, who's an insane player. He just carried the Raptors to a championship by going basically to a level we've almost never seen before. Kind of like when Steph was doing so insane back-to-back years, right? Almost to that type of level of play, and he carried the Raptors to a championship. And I just don't see him being, because when he was on a team that had so many good players, when he was like on the Spurs, he wasn't that kind of highlight play. He wasn't making those type of plays that he was on the Raptors. You look at him, he was kind of your average star player, right? He wasn't doing something insane every
Well,
game.
I
And
don't
so
know
you
about
put him
that
on-
because when you've got 4 Hall of Famers on a team,
Well, that's
it
what I'm
makes it
saying.
kind of hard.
I know.
So
But
like,
what,
I think that's why we didn't hear about him and see him as much, is because you still had TP, you had Manu, you had
yeah,
Tim
exactly.
Duncan, like you had all these guys.
I understand
like,
that, but that's what I'm
drawing the
saying. You put him on a
spotlight.
team like with all these star players, like on the Clippers,
I
and
mean, he's only got Paul George.
I know, but like the Clippers weren't like. I mean, I get they were kind of a joke at the West the past few years, but they are getting. I think they're a little bit better now.
They're significantly
They're
better.
significantly better, and they have they don't have a terrible other 3 starters. They don't have a terrible bench. I don't think.
No, their bench is like one of the best in the league right now.
Exactly. So I think you put him with Paul George, and while Paul George is, insane, obviously he's a great player. I
He's
think
second best 2-way player.
I think he is going to have.
Is Anthony Davis.
Oh my god.
But I think just looking at the Clippers, I think he's going to have the same problem he ran into on the Spurs, where he's not going to be the same highlight player he was as the Raptors came, where he was just carrying a team like that. And when he doesn't carry a team, I think he's going to have the same problem he had on the Spurs, where he just can't do much when it counts, because he's going to have to. Who's going to get that last shot? Who's going to be the final
How
shooter?
did
Will it be
he
Paul
not do
George or will it be
anything when it
Kawhi?
counted?
Because
Because he
when
won
was on the
Finals
Spurs-
MVP. He won Finals MVP with 4 Hall of Famers.
I know, but what I'm saying is when he was on the Spurs, the last few years he was on the Spurs, he was not like he wasn't doing what he did on the Raptors, right? Last year when he was on the Raptors, he was carrying that team. He was the one dude you consistently count on to play insane every single game. He didn't need to do that on the Spurs, and he wasn't doing that. He's not going to need to be that on the Clippers either. So will he play as good as he did on the Raptors? Now that
Yeah,
he's on
'cause
the
he's a
Clippers,
guy.
because he doesn't have to play that way anymore?
No,
'Cause
he has to.
Paul
because
George.
Now the spotlight's on him. Paul George is sidekick.
I don't know, because that leads to the question. That leads me to a question. Do you think Kawhi would be you always gotta ask, who's the guy who takes the game-winning shot, right?
It's
Would it be
Kawhi. There's no. It's
I don't
Kawhi
know,
in that
because
team.
Paul George knows that.
Dude,
I think
Paul
Paul
George
George
comes up
knows
so
that.
small.
I don't know. I disagree.
The only time because Paul George was still the number 2 in Oklahoma City, and yet he still put up incredible numbers. Like he still topped all of his numbers in his last year in OKC,
Yeah,
even
he
though
had a career year.
Westbrook was still the guy.
Yeah. Okay, but
Mhm.
He knows his role.
I
Just
understand.
amazing at it.
I understand that, but I always think there's going to be like that mental block where you think when you have some, because Kawhi didn't really have like that same type
you're-
of caliber player
I
as
think
Paul
I think I
George
know
on
what
the
you're
Raptors.
saying.
I just think there's going to be this like transition period where he would just went to the Raptors, balled out of his mind, led them to a championship, and he didn't have someone of Paul George's status caliber on his team where he was like right there, right neck and neck, almost tied with Kawhi Leonard in talent. Because sometimes Paul George is just as good as Kawhi is.
Occasionally, it's not very often, but I think I know what you're saying in the sense of like, will he revert back to like how he played in San Antonio, knowing that he doesn't have to carry the team on his back?
Yes,
I mean,
that's pretty much what I'm saying.
I mean, the thing is though, he went there knowing it's his team. That's what the whole that's what the whole conference was like. Before, before he was like deciding, when he was deciding between the Raptors, Clippers, and Lakers, which apparently
Yeah.
like the Raptors weren't even like in the hunt really. He's like, I don't want to be here.
He didn't like Toronto.
It's not. I mean,
Cold.
it's not that who hates who
Cold.
like, who
Because
likes
it's
Toronto.
cold and Drake is annoying.
It's cool.
Okay.
Oof.
No, so it's like think about it this way. It's like when you're in Toronto, you got to be going back and forth through customs. You got to fly into the country. You got to fly out. You got to drive in, drive out. Blah blah blah. Like, and it's like it's just a task. It's tasking, I guess, that's what some reporters said for him. It's like he doesn't like that, and I
Right.
get that. But now when he was deciding, the only reason he said he wants somebody to go with him because he knows he's not winning another championship by himself. He
Yeah.
knows he got lucky.
Okay.
So why? He's bringing in Paul George. Why? So he can have some help. He knows he's going to be the guy. He says, "I need a sidekick," and that's what the owner. I can't remember his name right now. It's completely slipping my mind. The Clippers owner.
Right.
He goes up and says, "We'll get you somebody as long as you come." And he says, "You get somebody first, I'm on my way." And then they got Paul George. End of story. He said, "I need a sidekick." He
I
understands
mean,
that
they chose to
it's
put
his
it
team.
together.
Yeah.
I just think that, sure, they chose it. That's what he wanted. They gave him that option. I think that the only time I've seen Kawhi Leonard with other players of his caliber, or even someone near his caliber, he hasn't done what he did to get to win a finals like what he did with the Raptors. He wasn't the star of the show. He wasn't the guy carrying the team on his back. He wasn't doing that on the Spurs. He didn't have to do that on the Spurs. And when he doesn't have to do it, I haven't seen the same Kawhi we saw in the Raptors. I haven't seen that player who just goes full Super Saiyan mode on everyone he plays. And I just don't know. I know everyone's so hyped about the Clippers, especially because they think they're gonna go to the finals and they're gonna have an insane team and blah 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 blah. But I just don't see him doing. Again, maybe it's because he just doesn't need to, and they'll just be so dominant that he won't even need to do that. But if he does do that, I think they easily win to get to the finals because they will have to. But if he doesn't, since he doesn't have to, I think he reverts back a little, and I think we see this team where it's like it's Kawhi, but it's not the same Kawhi we saw last year, and I don't know what we'll get from him.
So, kind of, we got like, well, we didn't really get off topic. We can start talking about, because Warriors dynasty, is it over? Who's winning the championship? Blah blah blah. No, I mean, it kind of all falls in because the Warriors aren't beating, in my opinion, the Lakers. They aren't beating the Clippers. I don't think that'll happen if they see each other in the playoffs.
I think the Nuggets could just
That's what I was
surprisingly just win the just cause
Just destroy
just
everybody.
because the world is chaos. They could
I
just be
had
like, now we're winning it.
that's what I had as my number one seed actually.
You did,
in,
yeah. But
in
I
the
don't
West.
think. I still think their playoff inexperience is going to kill them in that sense.
Yeah.
So I don't think it'll. But we have two. We have two for the Warriors dynasty that has a possibility of moving on, and then I say it's over.
I say
So-
I say this is like if Steph does it, if Steph reverts back to his insane form, I think it continues for maybe one more year,
Another year or two.
depending on what they do in the free agency. But if he doesn't, I think it's done. I don't think they'll do enough in free agency, and I don't think he'll revert back enough.
Okay.
They're at
and then-
DEFCON 5.
this is like the red warning light
Like,
should be
look,
going off.
we
Like,
are
hey,
at the
hey,
last
hey!
one. Let's go. Yeah,
Exactly.
we're at the last one. Let's get it going, guys. Come on.
Plus, they're
So
gotta
now-
be just like exhausted. They've been to like
Yeah,
the
that
last
too.
5 finals. That's
It's like
gotta take a
LeBron, like
toll.
when he was going to like 9 straight.
That's true.
Like, you've got to be tired, dude.
Yeah.
But so
yeah, go
on
ahead.
to the next one where we go to the NFL, and my least favorite team. I don't hate the Patriots, but I don't like them just
You gotta
because
respect
I-
them.
no, it's like I say, game respect game. I understand like they are the best team. They continuously win, but I don't like seeing the same team win every year. I like seeing variety.
You must have hated the NBA the last 5 years.
Oh, I did. I hated it. Seeing LeBron and the
You
Warriors was
enjoyed
just like
that.
I just threw it, like I heard who was in. I was like, oh, who made it? And I
Again?
look at it and I go, never mind. I'll go back to hockey, because like in hockey you have like a different
Hockey's
team every
been
year.
wild, but yeah, continue on.
But it's just like that's what I like. I like having variety. So I keep up with like, and like even when the Astros won their first World Series, it's like, oh yeah, woohoo!
Yeah.
Like, yeah, good job, guys. But on to the NFL with the Patriots. We'll start with Cole again. Patriots dynasty, is it over or not? Because now we're thinking Brady, like they said last year, Brady might fall off a cliff. He never did. He didn't really. He just didn't play the best Super Bowl ever.
Dude's
but
like
his team
Superman,
won,
man.
right?
Defies every statistic.
It feels like every year people are saying, okay, there's no way he can be good again, and then he just does it every single year. I mean, they've been saying this since they've been saying it basically since like 2007 when he like tore his ACL, and then like when he had that terrible game a couple years ago in Week 1 versus the Chiefs, threw like 5 picks or something. They were like, oh, just put Garoppolo in as a starter. Brady's done. Move on.
Imagine.
And then he just is like, what? No, I'm Tom Brady. Well, let's go win 2 more Super Bowls. So.
And now here we are, 2019, and he's still starting.
How old is he? 40 what now? 42?
I think he's 40. No, he's
40.
40.
Okay, it's 40. So the drop off for an average NFL quarterback, even the Hall of Famers, right, has consistently been. He's 42. I was right. Okay, so he's 42. The drop off age for every Hall of Famer quarterback has been right around 37. Just that's been like the number. Peyton Manning, I think, was like 38 or something. This dude's 42 and winning Super Bowls.
I don't get it. I don't understand.
And he's not like some godsend athletically gifted person. He looks like I don't want to say a stick, but he doesn't look like he's like some dude who's out there running 10 yards every play, carrying a team, right?
I mean, I remember
he looks like he throws the ball. That's about it.
Exactly.
I remember during their Super Bowl versus the Eagles, he like at the end of the game, he looked like he threw the ball a decent amount.
You cut out right
there. But then he just comes back again and is like, all right, I'm going to win. What?
You cut out right there.
You cut out
in that last sentence.
during your sentence, yeah.
Oh, in the Super Bowl versus the Eagles, it looked like at the end of the game that he was just like really struggling to move the ball.
Right.
And then he just came back the next year and was like, I'll win it this year, I guess.
Yeah, like, I mean, you can tell that he's not very athletic, as in when they threw him the ball in that Eagles Super Bowl game. It didn't really work out.
It seems to me, so getting to the question, it's like, is the dynasty going to be over within this year, next year, or whatever?
I
for
think
the
they'll draft
Patriots?
a quarterback next year.
They need to be wary.
So, like, you look at it, like, for me, it's like this. But actually, you know what? I'll save my opinion. Cole, go ahead.
It's so tough.
It's a hard question.
I feel
this is like the hardest one.
Jesus. Okay, because I feel like even if Tom Brady does start, they still have like a really good front office, and so I feel because no matter who they draft, they always make the players like due to the best of their abilities, regardless of how like much skill they actually have. And I don't know whether that's just like their training staff is amazing or it's just Tom Brady making everyone around him better.
Belichick's a grandmaster wizard.
I mean,
Dude,
yeah,
he's like a de facto GM. Like, I think he is the GM of that team.
Yeah, he does draft a lot of players. I know that.
But he's just like, look, dude, you do this for me, I guarantee you we win. And Brady's like, okay.
So
Brady, take a pay cut. Okay.
I can't say that it's over. I'm not gonna say that it's over because it's not over. They just won. And
yeah, they just won again.
And we all thought it was over last year. And
yeah,
it wasn't.
So no, it's not over. I don't know why, but it's not over. I don't have any rational.
There's no rationality.
This defies all logic, all statistics. I can't handle this,
So,
and I agree with them. It's not over. I'm actually worried.
Oh, you don't? You're gonna agree with me? You're gonna say no?
Yeah, I'm gonna say it's not,
Okay.
dude, because Brady is
He's
still taking pay cuts. The thing is with the Patriots, they build a team. They don't just like yeah, they draft players, but then they're like during the offseason, they're like, what do we really need? And they're like, who can play for a cheap price, but also play so we can get better players.
Yeah.
And they're like, they'll bring in like all these other guys, like piece by piece, bit by bit. And the thing is, those guys are willing to take pay cuts. Those guys are willing to try and let other people on the team. And they're like, and since Belichick's just like, nope, you're listening to me and we're winning. And everybody shuts up and does exactly what they're told.
Bill Belichick would be the greatest fantasy football player. I don't know if he plays it or not, but he
plays it every year.
Nails it every time. He gets it right every.
He plays fantasy football every year. It's just IRL fantasy football. It's a little.
Yeah, he's like, oh, my fantasy football. What is my championship? How about a pay raise and also a Super Bowl? He's like, got it, guys. Good job.
All right, so I get what you're saying. I get what you're both saying, but here's what I'm thinking: is like, you look at it. So Tom Brady has been quoted saying he wants to play till he's 47, right? He's
He probably
42,
could.
and he probably honestly could.
Jesus.
Whether he'd be a starter at 47, I don't know, but he probably honestly
He would
could.
not. He wouldn't. I don't think he'd play on the bench. If they were like, okay, you can, we'll sign you, but you're gonna be on the bench next. He'd be like, just I'll be an assistant coach. Just play on the bench.
Yeah, true. He could be.
What's the point?
Could be the
Be the quarterback coach.
He's
something.
gonna, dude.
But,
He's coming back. 100%. He's coming back as an assistant coach if he retires.
in some
and
form or
Belichick's still
fashion, I
coaching.
He
think
might
that's
replace
part of it.
Belichick when Belichick's done.
Oh, please God, no.
No, that'd be so wild. But so you got Tom Brady openly quoted saying he's not even close to ready to retire yet, right? Which is
Yeah.
kind of insane because almost every single veteran quarterback of his age is either not talking about retirement because they know they're going to retire soon, like Drew Brees will probably retire soon, or they're clearly lagging behind everyone else in the NFL and they're going to retire soon, be either their wish or not. So
The only players that play this long are kickers, and most of them don't even make it to the.
yeah, most
It's
of them
insane.
don't.
Yeah.
So Tom Brady has one of the most insane. We know he has one of the most insane like regimens off season wise. He has like these like he like has a dietitian. He's got like workouts that he does. He's got specific things he does like
All
beyond
big players
any
do.
quarterback that in the NFL. He does like these very specific regimens throughout his year, and that's probably what's kept him so durable. Besides the fact that he's just a smart quarterback, he doesn't take unnecessary risks when he doesn't have to. He's learned through so many like he's that one year he got injured, probably taught him a lot. And now he just doesn't do things he doesn't have to do anymore. And he counts on his, he counts on his coach to say, okay, here's what we can't do this game. So here's who's going to have to step up. And that's what's so good about the Patriots. Their front office, when they lose big name players, their offensive line, they lost a big name player this year. I can't remember or maybe it's a defensive line, but I can't remember what his name was, but they lost a big name player. That offseason, they immediately took the time because they knew they were going to lose him in a trade, or he's going to sign somewhere else for more money.
They just let their huge players walk because they're like, okay, we're still gonna win. We can replace you.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and
didn't they have Albert Hainsworth at one point?
Yes, and
he was a pretty big name. He was good at his position. They're just like, bye. Okay.
Exactly. And so what they'll let these huge name players walk for big contracts because they know they're going to lose them in the offseason because they probably not going to be able to pay them as much as another team is because they have so many
It's not that it's not that they don't want to pay him. It's like, well, I can get somebody who puts out as much. Yeah, exactly. They're like, look, dude, I'm not giving you the extra money. I want to win. I don't care about your paycheck.
Yeah. And so you look at and that's what I'm saying is but immediately as soon as they lost one of their big offensive linemen or defensive linemen, whichever one it was, they immediately went out and they found someone who they believe is going to be either the equivalent for cheaper price or right around the same thing, basically.
Are you talking about Rob Ninkovich?
It might have been. I'm not sure who they were filled in for, one of their big linemen, but they knew they were going to lose him, and they brought in someone immediately in the offseason I think they might have drafted someone or whatever they did. They filled that spot immediately. Most teams don't do that, or they don't have the wherewithal to see that far ahead and know, okay, we're going to lose this player, but we don't care about losing this player because we're going to find someone, and Belichick's going to find someone who's got equal talent, who thinks he can be just as good as that, or at least close to that, and be able to fill in the spot. So they lost Gronkowski in the offseason, and they drafted, I believe they drafted a tight end, but I'm not quite sure. But Gronkowski was a huge target, right? He's just he was a big boulder who you could just consistently say, as long as he's on the field, I have an open player. Because at least 1 to 2 people have to guard him almost every play. Usually 2 players. And so you'd almost always have an open target. Losing that is kind of a big hit. Now, last year he was not barely on the field, so it didn't really matter. But losing that was still just, it's a big hit, almost because he's a Hall of Famer. And then they went and they either picked up a player or they traded for one or they drafted whatever. They filled that spot. And they're still going to probably be just as good offensively just because they are going to fill in that spot. They have this unbelievable sense in the past, 20 years they've been doing this pretty much ever since they got Brady, where they are just filling in whatever they lose. If they lose a big name player, they fill it in, like you guys are saying. And they might not be as good. They might even be better, but they always fill in a spot. So it almost doesn't feel like they lost anything there. And their only weakness I can see is honestly if they get held back by I don't know who their starting running back is, but
Brady's ages.
If they get held back by Brady falling apart maybe in some way, or they just get held back by injuries.
there's injuries happen everywhere. It plagues almost every team. Now it seems to plague the Patriots a little less than every other team, but they happen everywhere. So if injuries happen, which can happen anytime, then the Patriots might just lose. And if the injuries happen enough, like this year, and then Brady just like has a bad year or something, which has been known to happen. He's not perfect every year, but he's not awful almost ever. So like if he has a bad year, he gets injured, someone else gets injured on their team who's been like a major player for them, a key component. If that happens, then I think you start to see the Patriots and you look at the downfall kind of, because there are teams especially in the AFC with the Chiefs who are right up there with the Patriots. The Chiefs are right up there. The Rams are insanely good. The Saints are insanely good. You have a lot of teams who can compete with the Patriots on a fight to fight basis every single game they play. It's not like the Patriots are going to have a free ride to the Super Bowl this year. They didn't have a free ride last year, but the teams were kind of younger last year and more inexperienced. And now they got more experience on their belt, especially, the Rams who had a young team, the Saints, the Cowboys, the Mahomes, who was on his I think it was, I don't even know, was that his rookie season last year? I think it was. It might have been his rookie season. And Mahomes, I think
he played like a couple games at the end of 2 years ago.
Okay, so it was like his rookie sophomore season. So like Mahomes, who's gonna have experience under his belt, going up into the playoffs, playing as well as he did. They're going to have legitimate competition this year, and if that continues to be the case, you're gonna see the Patriots fall off quickly, because they will have actual problems. Like in the past few years, they've been winning. No team has been like, no team really has been that great talent. Besides, I think the closest one was like maybe the Seahawks in 2014, or I think it was 2014, maybe it was 2016, when they were like, Russell Wilson was balling and they were actually beating almost every team they played. That was a really good, and the Panthers as well a couple years ago. But no team besides that has really been close to the Patriots level of like just straight dominance. And I think with the teams that are so good now, I think you kind of significantly start to see Brady struggle more. And I think the Patriots are going to fall off starting this year. I think this is the year where this is like the first time the actual, like everyone's like, okay, it has to happen, right? It has to fall. They have to go away. They can't continue being so damn good for so damn long, right? This is the year when you actually see that start to happen. Like everyone's like, oh, we see it a game or two here and there where Brady looks bad, the Patriots look bad, blah blah blah. Like last year,
you think it's just going to be consistent?
I think it's going to be consistent. Like last year, if you notice, they were struggling at home last year, early season. They were not playing well. Like in the beginning of the season,
I think they actually lost to the Steelers, and they hadn't done that in a while.
Exactly, and they were like, even at home, they were playing oddly bad. Like they were not getting big leads in the first half and then just holding it out with their defense, right? They were struggling to get score. They were struggling to beat some teams, and Brady didn't look too good. Then he just turns it up and wins the Super Bowl. But I think we're going to see that. We're just going to see it the whole season where they kind of struggle. They don't easily beat teams they should be easily beating. Every game's going to be a bit closer than it has been. And I think this is the year where it actually comes to fruition, everything people are talking about. I could be totally wrong. But I think this is the year.
About the Patriots is when the fall does happen, and it will eventually. I'm not saying it's like, oh, it's never coming. No, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
But when it does, it's going to hit like a truck.
Oh, it will.
It's going to be bad. The Patriots will fall down, and their tower they have built will fall. And it's like standing 200 stories in the air, and whoever's standing on top, being probably Brady, he's going to fall, and it's going to hit hard.
He's going to get injured.
I think that would depend on if they keep Belichick when Brady's gone. Or who's just going to leave first.
If Belichick can find another gem in the rough, then by all means.
I mean, he found Brady, but that was like a once in a lifetime pick.
Yeah,
almost,
right.
That he just saw and was like, F it, that looks great. Then he also found Garoppolo. So at the same time, we don't know if Garoppolo is going to be a really good quarterback.
We'll see how good he's going to be.
We'll see how his career develops. But he did seem pretty good, and it wasn't some person that everyone was like, wow, this guy's insane, we have to pick him.
Yeah, it wasn't just a fluke either.
He kind of found another gem. So he has a unique talent that most coaches don't have.
He's good at drafting.
Exactly. Yeah. Most coaches don't have
the Wizards need that.
They do. Yeah, for real. But that's why I'm thinking I've been saying that too. I would agree with you. Is when it happens, because they're so high up above everyone else for so long, it's going to be just like a nuclear explosion. It's going to be the quarterback, then it's going to be the team starts getting mad, then the coach, I don't know, he's going to explode. Because Belichick looks like that type of guy who doesn't explode only because he's winning. And then
he seems cool, calm, and collected until he's losing, and then he's just like, super mad.
Come on, we gotta go.
And then like I think that's the kind of guy he is, and he kind of like gives us like real bad, real creepy vibe. But at the same time, I think that's only because he's winning so much. He doesn't have to be mad, although he always looks mad anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that they also do a really good job of containment on their team, where any internal beef you almost never hear about.
Yeah, they do.
So even if it does get like they start playing bad, people are mad at each other and stuff, you're never gonna hear about it. But I think you'll see it on the field.
Okay.
I think they'll be fine till Belichick leaves.
All
And then I think it's probably over.
Yeah, maybe.
All right. So there you go. I will say I don't think it'll happen this year because Brady is destroying Father Time in the fight pretty badly.
It's true.
But when Father Time starts kicking back, it's gonna be bad. I don't think when that happens, I don't think it'll hold long. But there you go. So we're saying 2 for. So Ryan, you think the Patriots fall off this year, right?
I think you start to actually see the cracks in the armor this year for sure.
Okay, and then Cole, you said there's no telling. Probably not.
There's no rational reason to think either way.
I will definitely say I agree with that. So that's going to be it. That's all we've got for this week. It's run out of time, so maybe we'll do fantasy football week before the season starts. Week 1 was this week. Well, this past week. So week 2 of preseason will be this week, and that means we'll probably cover it in about 2 weeks, I'd say.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah. It'll be most season games start near the end of August or first week of September. So yeah.
Yeah. So okay. So that's when we'll do our not preseason fantasy football. We'll look into it and give us some sleepers and some other guys. Ryan here is pretty good at fantasy football, and so is Cole. I haven't done it in a while, but we'll definitely check it out. So thank you guys for listening. Hope you guys have a great day. Keep it tuned in. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and give us a couple feedbacks if you guys see anything needs changed. But again, thank you guys for listening. Hope you guys have a great week. All right. Cool. I'm stopping everything. I'm tired.